Summer is fast approaching, and I think it's time we took a little bit of stress out of our lives, isn't it? With HelloFresh UK, you can get all the ingredients and inspiration you need to make your meal times and your cooking experience simpler than ever. HelloFresh provides a number of recipes and meals to make your life as easy as possible and also caters to a wide range of different dietary requirements. Use my special discount to get 50% off your first order plus 35% off the next three and three free gifts as well. What more could you ask for? Check out the discount link or the checkout code down in the description below. Well, today is a very big day in this head coach story. We make our return to club football at the first elite side of the series so far, and after our grand farewell at the elite international stage with England, we've got a chance to match it at club level and take our career to the next level. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 109 of the head coach with me, Daniel. We are back at club football and I think you know where we are today because we took this job a couple of weeks ago. It was a bit of a side story during the Euros, and at the second summer of asking, after being rejected for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which turned out to be a blessing in disguise, United finished 14th, missed out on Europe, of course sacked Solskjaer, and now, because they couldn't recruit any other big names, they've come and got us. Since then, we've managed to win Euro 2036 with England. We've thrown ourselves into the elite stratosphere. We'll be coming up against former club Crystal Palace. We'll be looking to win our first club trophy since we managed Bromley in the National League. There is an awful lot for us to achieve here, and I wonder if we're going to live up to the hype because we've got a lot of our former England players in this team. You can see 3 of them unhappy at the moment. We've got to qualify for continental football. That is basically the aim of this season, and it's probably a 2 or 3 year rebuilding job to get United back to the top, and hopefully for us, a big successful end to our career. So if you're looking forward to all of it, as today we meet the squad, the players, and see what our director of football's been doing while we were at the Euros, then please do put a thumbs up on it. There is an awful lot of excitement in the air at Manchester United because the man who has just led England to a major trophy is here to turn around their fortunes. A quick reminder again, for Manchester United last season, they finished in 14th place. The 2 years before that, they finished 7th and 8th. And bar one second place finish 4 years ago, it has been constant disappointment since the start of the save, with no finish higher than 3rd. So a real worry for United. Still no title since Alex Ferguson left the club. And we are here to try and be the man to deliver that. But it ain't going to happen overnight, let me assure you. Let's go and have a look at the facilities and everything because there are some problems here. The training facilities are only great, they're not up to the usual standard. The youth facilities aren't right at the top of the game. This isn't the Manchester United that are state of the art, that are dominating world football. This is a club that is very much on the decline, and we've got to try and stop it. We've not got the best squad in the Premier League, probably not even one of the best ones, but we're going to try and take it over 2 or 3 years. We'll start as always by having a look at the staff. It's a little bit different this time because of course we've been here 2 or 3 weeks. There've been staff coming in, there've been players coming in and out, and there've been some offers accepted too. So I'm going to show you the transfer screen before we go to the squad as well, just so you can see what sort of players we're going to be working with and what sort they've been bringing in. So let's have a look at the coaching staff. It is of course massive. We'll just have a look through the star men. The big one at the top of the page, well, it's going to be the director of football, isn't it? John Murtow is still there. Always used to be a great find in FM, but is much maligned for his role at United. They're not in the best position, are they? And he's not a great negotiator, which is a worry. I'm sure he used to be a very good coach. He did. It's a shame he's not working on that side of things. Darren Fletcher, likewise, a former playing legend, is still the technical director, and he is very good at the moment, so we can't argue with him. Also involved on the coaching side of things, and his attributes are pretty good, so no complaints. The big one elsewhere, though, and the surprise one, was Robert Huth, the loan manager. He is someone who's going to be very important to this club, and he's someone who I think is going to be useful for us in the next few years. Not rated brilliantly, has been here since 2026, but his people management's good, his judgment's not bad, and mentally he's an absolute monster. And then looking at the coaches, there are some big names about. Lewis Price has just joined the club. He is someone who we wanted at Palace before and is a former Palace goalkeeper. He's exceptional. So the staff that have been brought in are good. Our new assistant manager is Dion Burton, who was a former Derby player and has come from Derby as an assistant manager. He's very good as well. So a lot of good additions on the staffing side. Definitely not too much disappointment. The problem comes more on the playing side, which we'll look at in a minute. If we go further down so you can see the scouting team as well, some bizarre names in there. You've got the likes of Jordan Hugill, for example, who is a very poor scout at Manchester United. So the recruitment seems to be the weakness. Danny Welbeck is in there though, but he's not the best scouting game, and that is a problem. So let's have a look at the transfer work and what has been done since we were here. Worryingly, 2 goalkeepers potentially on their way out, and we've only got 3 at senior level. Joel Finnegan is one of them, who we had on loan for United at Crystal Palace. There's already been a first-team centre-half go out on loan. There's a first-team centre-half having a strop that he can't go, and potentially a couple of big sales as well. Our best youngster, who I'd earmarked as someone to put into the first team, he's being sold to Southampton by the looks of it. And one of our first-team starting centre midfielders is being sold to Chelsea. So it is a United team now that is a mid-table side being picked off for its players, and that is a big concern for me. But if we have a look at the history so far, 65 million wasted on 2 players since we've got here, and both of them are average backup squad players at best, but maybe that's a sign of where United are. And then a few players out, one for 3.9 million, and he sold a goalkeeper as well, but that was just before we joined. So no real upgrades at all. Kieran Jones has gone to Luton Town, who are a Premier League side as well. Finished on a very similar points tally to United last year, but might be a good thing for him. The Welsh invasion moving over to the head coach. Let's go and have a look at our senior squad though. We'll keep an eye out for those 2 players that have joined via the development centre. There's Luke Medley, who I was earmarking for a first team role. He is a very good young footballer, and it looks like he's about to leave the club. There are a few others there for the future as well. Adam Hunter, very good young winger. I'll probably promote him a bit this year. Danny Ferreira, not quite the same potential, but a good winger nonetheless. And Oscar Benegas, who, again, very good defender. Not the best in terms of heading the ball, but he's big, he's strong, he's physically good. Maybe a little bit aggressive for my liking. We have got to bear in mind, though, here, we are a Manchester United side that isn't in Europe. So there's only going to be the 38 league games and a few cup matches. It is not going to need to be a massive squad. And maybe that's why we're seeing some sales here, but I'm a bit concerned about the ones they are. Let's go through to the senior squad. This is what we've got left. Let's go and meet all the players. And then you in the comments, as always, let me know what you think the tactics should be, what style of play we should adopt. And of course, we'll wait and see how many of these John Murtow can keep hold of as we move into our first season at United. Jadon Sancho was the last of that old guard who just left on a free in the summer. We've got one more really old boy left, which is Vanderson. He's the only over 30 left, actually, after the start of the window sales. And it is a fairly young squad at United. It's a team in transition. There are definitely holes in the team. And I'm very concerned that the budget has been wasted on 2 average players. You can see we've got a striker in Joel North who's not brilliant. And the midfielder in Jimenez is probably one of the worst at the club. The issue is, you can see they're trying to bring the wage bill down. And that is leading to its own problems with quality. So we've got to really succeed this year, or I'd imagine most of those other stars will move on. We'll start to get big offers, and looking at John Murtow, he'll probably just accept them all the way he's going. Let's start by meeting the goalkeepers though. 1 we know well, 2 possibly off. Let's meet the one who's definitely going to be here, or looks like he's definitely going to be here. It's the youngest one, it's the highest paid one, and it will be our first choice keeper. Jorge Robles, 3-star ability, 4-star potential. And I guess that is the positive we've got with this side. If we can get the mentoring, the coaching, the individual work and the social groups right, we've potentially got players who can become world class. And Robles is one of those. All of the attributes are there. They're all very good and they're all bordering on world class. So I've got a feeling at 6'3", a commanding keeper, not the best reflexes in the world, but mentally you increase all those attributes by 1. You have got one hell of a goalkeeper on your hands. So I'm looking forward to seeing his development, and I do hope we keep hold of him. It makes me a lot less worried about the 2 we might be losing, but it does leave us without a good backup then. Joel Finnegan, we know very well from our days at Palace. He played a big role in our Europa campaign there, albeit was a backup in the league, and he's a solid keeper. Again, Reflexes is the weakness, but I would have been happy to keep him around. The same probably goes for Lazarus Lungu, who was out on loan last year, came back from Hertha Berlin. I thought, all right, solid third choice goalkeeper. He looks like he's been sold as well. That one I don't mind because the value for money is excellent. 12 million for a goalkeeper of his ability is nothing to be sniffed at and is probably easy money. Whereas Finnegan, for much the same price, I'm not sure that's such a good deal. We've obviously lost Kieran Jones at centre-half, who's gone out on loan to rivals Luton. I say rivals because they were both scrapping for relegation last year. We'll get to the rest of the defence in a minute. Let's start with the right back and left back. Vanderson is 35. He is the elder statesman of the team. Good personality, good attributes still, but the physical decline is starting quickly. He's got 1 year left on his deal. He signed reduced terms under John Murtow, and I'm not sure that I want to rely on him as my first choice, albeit he's been here since the second season of the save and he's made over 400 league appearances. I think this will probably be his last campaign with the Red Devils. We'll see how he gets on, but if we can get someone better, I wouldn't be disappointed. On the other side, it's two players we know pretty well. One of them has been a regular in our England squads and another has been on the fringes of it. So Anthony Duffy is the best left back at the club. He is right-footed, so it gives us an option on the other side, and he can also play holding midfield. He is a brilliant fullback. He is an England backup, and he's a very good player overall. Elite level, not the tallest, which is always a worry for me. Defending at the back post, it's a problem. But mentally, he's very good, and that's something we're going to need in this dressing room. The other one is Isaac Simmons, who is 3-star ability. He's basically just behind Duffy for that backup place in the England squad. Very similar to Kelleher, who we had at Palace, and it was in the England team, of course. And maybe given his strong personality again, that is the option for us to play Simmons on the left, Duffy on the right, or in holding midfield, and get both of those into the team because they're very good footballers. Simmons here is actually a United youth product, which I don't think Duffy was. No, he was signed earlier on. But for Simmons, it's someone who the club can get behind. The fans love having one of their own. And he's a very good player. Probably our second best fullback at the club. The other one who can play there is Charlie Humphreys, who is a 22-year-old. He was out on loan at Norwich last year. He is a natural right back. He's not as good as the others, but he's okay and he's still developing. Another one through the academy is something United have got a rich history of, and I'd like those two to be involved. So if Vanderson goes and we can get another defender, I don't think I'd be too disappointed. In addition to Kieran Jones, you can see there is another young fullback out on loan, but he's not that great, so we won't worry about him for now. Let's move on to the centre-halves and start with another familiar name. Justin Deverlay came on in that Euros final for us. He is unhappy at the club. He's weirdly the highest paid centre-half despite not being the best, but he's a very decent Premier League player. And again, for the first season, solid personality, solid player, and someone who knows the way I play. So probably going to be involved quite a lot in my opinion. The other one is unhappy at the minute, but we have to keep him here. He is the best centre-half by a mile. He's a Kazakhstan international. Azat Klishin is a brilliant defender. Very good mentally, exceptional physically, very good at all the core attributes as well. A proper old school defender, heads it, kicks it, not the best on the ball. And maybe that's the way we play with United. A little bit more direct, a little bit more physically, rather than trying to play technical football. He is a good determined character, not the most composed, which we've seen problems with in other saves. But positioning's great. He's only 5'11", but he'll do the job. He's like our little Lisandro Martinez replacement, isn't he? Those two look pretty solid for me for now. But the other option is Laug Hervenhoff. He is a Danish 26-year-old centre-half. He's also very good. He's 6'5". He's a beast in the air. Maybe better than Deverlay if we're being honest here. But not the best personality in the world. Just a bit balanced, a little bit average. But he's done a job for United so far. Might retrain him as a right back depending on who we get in. Maybe we consider 3 at the back, but there's not then going to be many backups. For us though, with the one that's loaned out, it's still 3 good centre-halves. So I'm a little worried. He's wanted by a lot of elite clubs. So very happy with those 3. The other one back there is a bit more of a midfielder. That man is João Diaz. He can play holding midfield naturally, and he can play centre-half or centre midfield okay. I'll be completely honest with you. I look at his attributes and think, where is he going to fit in? Is he even a Premier League player? And at 29, he's got no room for improvement. He's wanted on loan from some pretty big clubs in big nations. And to be fair, if we can get him off that relatively big wage, I think that's a good job for the club. I'm not particularly keen on having him here. So I wouldn't mind if he moves on. If he stays, I'm sure he'll be an okay utility man. He'll do a job off the bench on occasion. So you would say perhaps not the deepest squad, but again, we're only really playing the Premier League this year. So unless we have a big injury crisis, I think we'll be all right. I can understand why he's loaned Jones out based on that, but on another season, if we were in Europe, I'd probably be devastated. So maybe an upgrade for Vanderson is one we're looking for, maybe a world-class defender, but realistically, the budget that's left now is 12 million because he's wasted it all on two pretty average players, and as a result, we're probably not going to get it. We've got to get a backup keeper if those two go as well, so I'd imagine that's where the money goes. Let's move into midfield where we've potentially got a big departure. We'll look at some of the players that have come in. Diaz, of course, is one who we're looking to get out. That's not going to be up to us. The man who has come in is Jorge Jimenez, who I don't think is a particularly good signing. For 30 odd million quid, yes, he's versatile. He's only 27. He's got Premier League experience. He can play centre mid and number 10. But the fact that the two players signed so far are from recently relegated Premier League clubs. Nottingham Forest went down last year. Brighton, I think, went down last season, if not the year before. I mean, we're signing pretty average Premier League players here. Very low wage, very decent squad player, but not one that's going to set the world alight and not one that's going to start many games. Maybe that's what he's signing, though, is players that are happy to be a bit part. The stars in centre midfield, without doubt, are the ones we've managed for England. We've got Jonah Hodgkinson, who I couldn't really get the best out of in an England team. I do wonder if we play him holding midfield here. He's an elite midfielder. He's a model professional, which is great for the mentoring groups. And he's a superstar. He's played nearly 250 league games here. He's got a great personality. He's got a great technical ability. And of course, he's a regular for the national team. So no doubt he will be a star of the midfield. The other midfielder I was excited about is now possibly being sold, because John Murtow has accepted a £40 million offer for Roberto Almazan. He is a 25-year-old Mexican international who could also cover up front. And I think you can see he's not a world beater, but he's a very good player. Again, he's two-footed, he's physical, he likes to join the attacks, but I don't think we're going to have him at the club much longer. So nice to meet you and goodbye. Good luck for the future. The other ones that are in central midfield, Henry Ocon, who is probably going to have to play as a midfielder again. He is a quality striker. He is a quality footballer. But his attributes probably suit midfield better. So for this season, if we play Hodgkinson in a holding role, it's kind of what I'm thinking for this first season. Play a holding mid and two centres, a traditional 4-3-3, and just try and be solid. Because this guy, he's got all the ability in the world. If he gets that freer role with Hodgkinson deeper, I think he'll probably be all right. All of that sounds great, of course, but the big problem is where we get the third midfielder from, because the only other option that can really play centrally is Guido, and the only position he can play is number 10. Now, he's not particularly great at that. He's probably better playing off the right as a sort of inverted winger. He's great off the ball. He's a good leader as well. He's not the best passer of it. He's not the best dribbler. He's not the best technically, really. He likes to finish. He likes to cut inside, and I feel he'd be a real threat in that role. I don't feel he's a natural number 10, so maybe it can work into our tactic. I mean, if Almazan had stayed, it'd be great. If we get a replacement for him, it could still be okay. I should shout out for Ricardo Ribeiro as well. He's just gone out on loan, but looks a real star for the future. We'll see how he gets on in a championship this year. On to the wings. We talked about Guido possibly playing off the right. Well, how about Luis Fernando de Buen, who is the natural right winger at the club? He is a Mexican 23-year-old. He likes to cut in, he likes to play wide, he can do both. Physically very good, he's coming towards his prime now. He's resilient. To be fair, he doesn't score many goals for the quality he's got, but he is a great option to have. And again, alongside of Guido, we've got quality going forward. So out wide, I'm not too worried on that side. On the left, it's a little bit trickier, because you look down and you think, well, actually, who's going to play off the left? The only real natural one is Emir Baysal. He's a world superstar winger. I don't know what he's doing playing for the 14th team in the Premier League, but 35 caps for Belgium, elite winger, professional personality, physically monstrous, technically very good, and mentally he is an elite player. Scored goals galore at Bayer Leverkusen, didn't have a great first year with United. I think we're going to be forced to play him off the left because we don't really have any other options out there. So we're going to have to play quite narrow. Maybe we play him as the number 10. Either way, we've got a superstar in the offing here. We've got to make the most of his ability. So it is going to make me think about playing a different way. Do we think about attacking overlapping fullbacks? It's a little tricky because we've not got the ones that are technically best going forward. Do we play Duffy in the holding role and push Hodgkinson on? Where do we accept having our weakness in the team? We've got to make a decision because somewhere we are going to have a big weakness because we've not got 11 superstars. The other players we've got in this team though are Marco Demeter as our first choice striker. He is my type of player. Runs in behind, finishes, he's got pace, he's got fitness, he's good off the ball, he's composed. He's scored 1 in 3 wherever he's been in his career, and I'd expect that to continue in this one. 2 more players to go though. Joseph Taylor, a 21-year-old youth graduate who's a bit of a utility man. And in fact, he's only actually ever played 1 league game for the club. That will change this season. He's a good finisher. He's also good off both wings and decent as a number 10. So he does give us a little bit of ability and promise having returned from his loan at Bromby. Again, he's wanted by other clubs, and I wonder if the director of football sells him. I hope not, because I'd like to build a few graduates into this team. Simmons is a bit of a regular already. If we can add Humphreys and Taylor into the mix, I think that would be pretty nice. The final forward is a slightly different type of option, bit more of a target man signed from relegated Nottingham Forest. When I saw Forest pop up at first, I thought we were getting Adrian Smith and I was getting excited. Instead, we got this guy, who is a decent striker. It very much strikes you as the Weghorst signing remade. He's not going to set the world alight. He's not a brilliant footballer. But again, a squad player, a modest wage, helps with the homegrown ruling, 2-footed, professional personality. And maybe that's something we've got to praise because we saw it at Palace, didn't we? We criticised the squad getting weaker, but actually, Dougie Freeman was working on getting the right characters into the club. But ideally, we'd like better players than that to join. So I think we're left with a tactic where we either play 2 strikers and potentially we could play a 4-2-4 because we've got some good strikers. We've got Bazout and Guido who can play either side, and we haven't got that many great midfielders. But it would force the back 4 and the 2 midfielders then to sit very deep and just let the 4 go for it. Do we go for a 4-3-3 and a bit more defensive solidity? Or finally, do we wait and see what John Murtow does? Because there's every chance there could be 3 or 4 more ins and outs the way it's going so far. Let me know your thoughts in the comments from me in this squad. Let me know what tactic you think I should play because I'm very torn between those 2. And where do you think we should play certain key players? I'm really interested in this one because there are possibilities and there is also a lot of jeopardy. It is a United side on the decline. We have got to stop the rot. We have got to get the mentality right. And we have got to do a lot of work on this side of things. The managerial support's not great because there's a few unhappy players. The hierarchy at the club is a bit weird because bar the 2 England ones, you've only got Vanderson up there and he's about to be off. And if you look at the social groups, that's what we've got to work on. It's a little bit all over the place. So mentoring groups are going to try and fix that. I basically want to make secondary social group A our core social group in time because Humphreys and Taylor, we can train into that with the right people. Robles, the senior keeper, hopefully he'll get there by default. And you look at Almazan moving on. You look at the likes of Lungu probably going as well. And the unhappy centre-half, which is a little bit of an enigma at the moment. The 2 new signings, we can work into it as well. So that is my big priority for this season. Get that secondary social group A as the main one at the club with the 2 new signings and the 2 youngsters from that one. Let's build the dressing room culture. Let's build it up behind the scenes and hopefully with it make European football of some sort. A reminder of what was said in the club vision. We have got to get a top half finish. They said in the interview about Europa League, but I want to get European football. Europa Conference, whatever it is, I do not care. Let's just make sure we're in there. We can go on a cup run if we can win something great. I'm not sure that's going to happen though. But all roads lead to our first game of the season. Wolverhampton Wanderers at home. The Manchester Derby is just the 4th game in. We've got a horrible run of Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Palace and Newcastle in September and October. Get your predictions in the comments for how you think we get on because at the moment the media are not expecting that much from us. An 8th place finish and battling it out with Palace for the final European spots. If you're looking forward to the season and seeing how we get on, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe for regular content from 2 long-term stories. We'll be back with our Builder Nation tomorrow, one of our most frustrating seasons ever in that one. Then we'll be back here in 2 days' time. Tactic decided, first game in charge. Let me know what you think the lineup should be. In the meantime, we've got a massive week of content over on the Football Podcast and on the Twitch channel, both of those up in the eye above. Links to our brand partners HelloFresh UK and NordVPN in the description. And thank you to you guys for joining me as we return to club football with Manchester United. Might be an elite job on paper, but there is an awful lot of work to do.